Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gabbing with Gabby. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Fatima Khan, who has three passions: food, writing, and medicine. And she has a blog all about that. And I met Fatima actually through my virtual training. She found out about me and my classes through a newsletter, through an old gym that I was at. And we came together. And I think the universe meant for us to meet, right? Because
De-
we're finding out that we are on the same page about a lot of things and enjoying our conversations together, the little conversations we've had so far. And I was drawn to you by your Instagram post, and I stopped you at well stopped you. I asked you to stay after class one day and said, Fatima, tell me what you're doing. And can I interview you? Because I really like these posts that you're putting on there. I love all the food. You've mentioned something about toxic positivity, and I think that we'll talk about that later. But I love your take on that, and I definitely want to address that. And I'm just so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that we can do this together. I think it's going to be a really inspiring, fun interview. So, welcome to the show. We'll call it the show. So tell us your story, your medical background, and your journey through your medical training and how you came here and you're studying right now to take your United States medical exam, right? And how you found your blog and how this blog has really become a big part of your life. So take it away, Fatima. Please tell us.
First of all, Gabby, thank you for inviting me to join you on this amazing show because it's been a pleasure knowing you in the very short time that we've spent virtually together, and it's been great.
Oh, thank
So I'm
you.
honored and humbled by that. To
Thank you.
begin with, my story usually begins with where I'm from, which is still dicey. I'm yet to decide that. My passport says I'm from India, so I'm an Indian by that definition. But I was born and raised in United Arab Emirates in
Okay.
Sharjah, Dubai. And one great thing about being born there was to have a very global outlook. I was in
Hmm.
touch with every nationality one could imagine, and
Hmm.
the food and different cultures, different languages. It has been an amazing experience there. After that, I finished my schooling there, and then for my medical school, I had to go back to India. So I
Hmm.
spent 6 years in India, and that was a different world altogether because suddenly from this mini global village, I was in a different country with very different set of cultural practices, values, and it was a different world. And then add to that, it's medical school, so that's a whole different experience.
Yeah, right.
Med school was great, and after that, just as I was ending med school, I got married,
Yes.
and my hubby brought me here in 2017 to United States, California, San Diego, and San Diego has been home since.
Oh, it's a great place to be, isn't it?
It is. And I think the best part for me was coming to San Diego, the weather, the
Mhm.
palm trees, everything. It's very Dubai-esque. So
Yes.
for me, it's like, okay, a little bit of home, definitely.
Yes. And the area that we live in is definitely has a lot of mixed cultures here, which is what I love about where we live because my kids grew up with that. It's not predominant in one particular um, culture, right? It's a hodgepodge of people who come together here because there's a lot of technology companies nearby. So people are coming from all over the world
Right.
here. And so you get to experience all kinds of people walking around here, which I love, you know. It might not be the same as in Dubai, right? It's a different vibe because we're very Americanized here. But I like that it's it's very colorful here, I think, in this part of San Diego. I really enjoy that part of it.
Definitely.
Mhm.
And I feel the best thing that, and after coming here, I realized how big of a treasure that was to grow up in
Mhm.
a global village, because
Mhm.
um, nothing or no one that I see shocks me or surprises
Yes.
me. It's always
Mhm.
like it's with a point of curiosity, or like oh great, something new to learn from them, like
Yes.
um, and being a foodie, like that's something coming here, food was a different ballgame altogether, because I was like, okay, where is my taste? Like, I am a huge foodie, and I never cooked. Like, I never entered the kitchen. I couldn't boil water to save my life
Oh my goodness.
up until I got married, till the day I got married. Like, even later, when I came to San Diego, I'm like, okay, things get real. So I we started with Chipotle and all the things around. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, good,
Yeah.
but
It's okay.
my food, like, where's my food? And then there's so many Indian restaurants around, but you're like, man, doesn't taste like home. It's good, like for a change, you can always go out and you have options, but where's my food? Where? And that sort of connects me to my roots and everything about me. So finally, I started cooking, and not one person, my mom cannot believe till date. She's like, I don't know. Like this girl in 2017, 2016 December, she cannot boil water to save her life. And in 2017, she's putting out like these whole table spreads. Like, how does that happen?
Who's this woman?
Yeah, just like, what happened? And
Yeah.
the thing I realized was, if I put my mind to it, I could do anything. So that was one thing that really strengthened me in this new world, because a new relationship, like a married life, is a whole new journey. You're beginning with someone, a new country, new people all around you.
Yes. Mhm.
So if there was one thing that could ground me, that was going to be in my house, it was going to be my food. Like,
Mhm.
how do I connect with who I am? And not just that, because there's so many things that I saw around me, but due to my food sensitivities, or my like the principles that govern my food, my faith
Mhm.
governs that. And so I was like, okay, I love what they're doing, but how can I change it for my palate? And how does
Mhm.
it fit into my daily menu? I started doing that. And even when I was at med school, I always had some creative outlet. So my writing was my creative outlet. Then I published two books. One was a poetry
Mhm.
collection, another was a short story collection. And then I came here and I'm like, okay, I don't have the time to write as much, or the drive right now. Like, I needed a complete change, and I
Mhm.
decided food was going to be my creative outlet, because it's magic.
Yeah.
And if I'm away from family, my family is still here with me in the form of the flavors that are there. Then I started sharing out of like boredom, I guess, because I was like, let's share what I'm doing. And I'm a tech dinosaur, so I was not even on Instagram before 2018, I guess.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, tech dino, let's have an update. So I started putting out food, and my friends and family, I was like, you did this. Like, how? Like, okay, so you're interested. Let's
Yeah.
take it further. Then I started putting recipes, and there were so many people I connected with through that. And that opened a world of experiences for me, because even while sitting at home, I was talking to someone in Australia who connected with my food, and she has
Yeah.
not been through my journey. Like, she has not been to the places that I've come from, and she could connect with it, and she had her own memories that come from her background. And I was like, wow,
How
so this,
cool.
this is great. And then there was like 2019, there were many incidents of social unrest.
Mhm.
And growing up, I was that kid, 6-year-old kid, and my dad would talk politics and world affairs with me. So
Mhm.
that's how I grew up. Like, at the dinner table, we would be discussing world policies, and how this
Mhm.
plays here and everything. And when all that started coming, I'm like, I have a platform. I have people who are listening to me, who are there, who are following me, who are interacting with me. And all this social unrest and everything, I want to say something about it. because it influences my life too. Any social unrest, it's not limited to a specific community or a specific
Mm-hmm.
group of people. We are all connected and it affects all of us. So then I started this series, Food That Means Home, because in this global age, very few of us are actually living in the same place that our ancestors came from.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter where we went, our flavors still have the things that our ancestors were using like many decades ago, like multiple decades ago. So we've
Mm-hmm.
carried that with us. And how we are integrating, like people love saying, oh, it's a melting pot. Like a melting pot, everyone loses their own and becomes something else. I prefer it to be a salad with where everyone keeps their own and they add
Mm-hmm.
together, and with their own individuality, they're doing a great job.
Yes.
So I loved it, and then I started interacting with people, and I started sharing. I'm like, okay, so you come from say Afghanistan, but you were born and raised in US, and you love a different type of cuisine altogether, like,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow you've assimilated everything and that flavor means home to you. So
Mm-hmm.
then the series has been going on, Food That Means Home.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on, and from there it pivoted to so mental health is another thing that's very close to me. So okay, food brought people, food that means home made people stay, because you're like, okay, so what country next, what's going to come up next?
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to expand my vision for this food blog. And I started incorporating mental health topics into this, especially because of the times we are in.
Mm-hmm.
People have been like saying how 2020 has been the worst and everything. It hasn't, because there were so many problems that were always there, but there was
Mm-hmm.
so much to distract us that we did not have
Mm-hmm.
to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
But now the distractions were taken away, and we had to deal with it. We were forced to
Mm-hmm.
come to terms. Like I saw these things on Instagram being shared. They're like when people were forced to sit down with their own emotions, they started baking bread from scratch. They were like, I'd rather do a sourdough starter, but I'm not going to face my emotions.
A sourdough starter. It's so true. So much of those came out on Instagram, sourdough
And
starters,
so,
coffee things that you can make. Yes, you're right.
so they're like, no, not my emotions. I will start baking bread. That's what I'll do
Yes.
now.
It's very hard to sit with your emotions for people. It's very uncomfortable, right? So they do find comfort in food, which is a little bit what you're saying, right? You're finding comfort in food, but at the same time, you're avoiding dealing with the emotional and mental things that are going on in your brain.
Yes, so
Mhm.
that's exactly like how it's my food started as an outlet, but I'm like, no, let's bring it back a full circle and let's
Yes.
address the main thing. Like, what is it behind it? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Hmm.
So then I started talking about mental health, and even from a medical perspective, like since I have that training behind me, um, we have seen as doctors, mental health plays a great role
Hmm.
in physical health. We just look at things like, oh, it's a disease, but say if it's a gastritis or a stomach ulcer or something like that, spicy food caused it, different things caused it. That's superficial. Ulcers can be caused by long-term chronic stress, or and stress is not something physical. Like that is an emotional thing. It
Hmm.
starts manifesting as psychosomatic symptoms. That's what
Hmm.
we say. So it's a psychological problem, but it starts manifesting as a somatic or something that can be seen as symptom. Um, so that is why talking about mental health was important for me. And as soon as you go in the mental health sphere, not because of the doctors, but because of the general population who do not understand mental health as well, who have no training basically, and we've been raised with a very messed up view of ignoring our emotions because
Hmm.
tears are a weakness. Feeling your feelings is being too oversensitive, like it's
Hmm.
it's a bad thing. Like, you can't be
Hmm.
sensitive. Like, you should be happy go lucky, and everyone loves to be around a cheerful person. And you just come and you have this dark cloud around you always. Like, you're so off putting. No one wants to be off putting. No one wants to have a dark cloud around them. And to tell someone, there's happiness all around you. Why are you not happy? Why are you not cheerful? It's like telling an asthma patient, like, there's air all around you. Why can't you breathe?
Yeah.
Because it is a
Right.
problem. Like,
Yes.
it's a joke.
Yeah. Right. That's a good analogy, actually. It's like telling an asthma person that there's air all around you. Sometimes you don't know what's going on with somebody, and to tell them, just be happy, smile. What's wrong? And well, I've got things. How much time do you have to sit
Yeah,
here and hear what's going on? But yeah, instead of understanding or me being maybe empathetic or compassionate, your feelings, your dark cloud is making me uncomfortable. So I need to figure out how to change you to make me comfortable. It's kind
exactly.
of what's going on.
It's
Mhm.
like, if you no person asks someone to fix them. Like, if I'm
Mhm.
not feeling well, I'm not going around asking people to fix me. But don't negate my emotions. Don't belittle
Mhm.
my feelings. Like,
Mhm.
don't tell me what to feel and what not to feel. You can't do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
That is what people don't get, because they're like, you know what, you've got to be thankful to God or whatever they believe in. Like, you've just got to be thankful, and that is going to bring all the positivity in your life and everything. Yes, it is, but there's a time for it, and nothing is going to happen until you don't recognize the problem.
Mhm.
Like in medical terms, also, I'm a doctor, so yeah, that becomes my analogy a
Mhm.
lot of times. But it's like, you get a bad test report, but if I don't see it, I don't have that illness. That's not how it works. The report is
Right.
always going to be there. It's the truth. You've got to face it, and you've got to
Mhm.
deal with it. Just because I don't like the diagnosis, I can't ignore it and say, if I don't look at the report, I'm not going to have it. You still have
Right.
it.
Mhm. Which some people do. If I've just, put my head in the sand and don't pay attention, it'll go away, right? So there are people that definitely do that with their physical ailments, and it's too painful to deal with, right? And to we talked about right before we got on here, we were talking about that movie Inside Out, how you can't it was a really great way to show and explain emotions, because you can't have one without the other. You can't be happy all the time and kind of try and squash down sadness or anger or angst or anything and just kind of, oh, I'm always happy, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be fine. Because the two or three or however, they all kind of have to kind of come together. One has to help the other to make what they call in the movie a core memory, but that core memory makes who you are and how you get to the other side so that you can have some resolve and figure out, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I can do this different, or I didn't know I was capable of doing that, or whatever it is, right? But you almost, at some point in your life, you do have to kind of fall down on your knees and get up and scrape them off and keep going, right? We've all had that happen to us. And there is a lot of what you called positive toxicity, or toxic positivity going on in the world. And I've talked about it with somebody else too. It's like, oh no, you just got to be happy. You have to be happy. And it's like, no, sometimes I don't want to be happy. And I can't explain to you why, but it's just how I feel. And it's an emotion on the range of emotions. This
Exactly.
is where I'm at
Perspective.
today.
Yeah. And like, this thing about toxic positivity.
Yes.
Um, just because you're uncomfortable with, and I think it has a lot to do with boundaries also, because this is another boundary that you're crossing, because you're
Hmm.
crossing that boundary and you're deciding for the other person how happy they
Hmm.
should be and why they should
Hmm.
not be sad and
Hmm.
why they should be in someone's company. And so, as kids, yes, a lot of times, I'm not saying for everyone, but at least the 90s kids, I guess we all grew up with the whole thing of being a responsible kid, and uh, emotions were not something to be looked into and just ignore it, get on with life, because
Mm-hmm.
no one owes you anything and no one's going to sit behind and baby you. It's like, okay, yeah, but now we are grown up adults. And if our emotions ask us to be babied at that time, I'm going to baby myself. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And when we give ourselves that permission, that grace, to lean into all our feelings, the good feelings, the happy feelings, the bad, the ugly,
Mm-hmm.
we own our truth. We know what we are about. We have this self confidence that nothing else can really bring, because as long as someone else keeps telling you like you should be happy at this time, you should be sad at this time, like you cannot be sad. Like sad is a very dirty word. Like you cannot be sad, you dare not feel
Mm-hmm.
the blues. So
Mm-hmm.
as long as we're allowing people to push us around, we never really realize like what am I all about? Like what do I
Mm-hmm.
want to feel in this moment? What do I want to do in this moment? Whether I really want to do anything in this moment, because we can just be. We don't have to be doing something, proving our worth every second of the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't need that. And
Yes.
that being present, that understanding ourselves, giving us all that grace, um, being assertive about our boundaries with everyone, no matter how closely they are related to us, because we're not like our boundaries are never going to be pushed by the cashier at the supermarket. Like they are not the people who are going to transgress. It's the people who are closest to us, and
Mm-hmm.
it's what they say that affects
Mm-hmm.
us the most. Like it's not like my Uber driver says something and I'm going to carry it like a traumatic memory for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's
It's
not.
someone in your circle, right? Yeah, it's someone in your circle.
It's someone I'm
Mm-hmm.
related to, someone I value, maybe as a friend, as an
Mm-hmm.
someone, and that is something that I'm going to carry and react to.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So those are the people we have to be assertive with about our boundaries. And they change, like our boundaries change. Like some days maybe I'm not happy being with some people and I need my space, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe other times I'm okay with letting that down and interacting. Someone who understands boundaries won't have a problem with this, because they're like, it's okay, today they're in a different space, they're in a different mindset, so it's okay, give them that
Mm-hmm.
grace. But someone who does not give themselves that grace cannot tolerate it
Mm-hmm.
when another person sets boundaries for them, because even though they do not do it intentionally, like they're not intentionally giving themselves zero grace, but since they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing that, that is their normal, and how dare someone else do something different.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So
They're not aware of what they're doing. It's just a reaction to them not giving themselves permission to be able to do it. How how come you get to do this? You know, because they
exactly,
haven't given themselves permission. If they just knew it was real simple that you could just, it's okay for you to do this too, they wouldn't react that way. But yeah.
like so many people nowadays, they'd be like, oh, the millennials or the
Mm-hmm.
future generations that are growing up before our eyes right now, you're too soft. You're always talking about emotions. Like in our time, we never gave any thought to it.
Yeah.
Yes, you did not give any thought to it, and it shows. It shows in
Yeah.
the resentment you carry. It
Yeah.
shows in everything you do. If only you had given yourselves that time and your emotions that time,
Yeah.
it would have done us a huge favor, because right now
Yeah.
we're not just like dealing with our traumas, we are dealing with intergenerational traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have been dealt with so much, and it's like, okay, I need to stop that cycle. This cycle stops here, this breaks here. No to positive toxicity. If I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling bad. That is it. And it's
Yeah.
not something to be ashamed about, to be
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed about. Or if I feel like crying, I will cry.
Yes.
Tears
Mm-hmm.
are not my weakness. I'm giving myself permission to feel my feels. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
many people still have a problem with understanding that, but then it's just like we have to give them grace too. Like they're not where I am or where we are, where people who understand boundaries are.
Mhm.
So it's like if I start talking in Urdu, my language, or in Arabic, with a person who has zero knowledge about this language, and I expect them to understand it, this
Mhm.
conversation is not going anywhere.
It's not going to go very far. Right. Yeah.
So, if they don't understand my language, either I speak in a way that they can understand,
Mhm.
and if they can't, they can't. Sometimes some conversations
Mhm.
don't go anywhere. I need to understand that, and I need to drop it
Mhm.
there. Be comfortable. Like that's another thing. I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because if a person who's close
Mhm.
to you in your circle and they don't understand your need for boundaries, your space, your emotions, and your assertiveness, and they take it as you breaking ties maybe, or you being a snob, uh,
Mhm.
you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable about it. You won't feel good, like, because our innate thing is like you can't feel like you can't think badly about me. Like I was not trying
Mhm.
to hurt you, but as long as you are not hurting them, like of course there are some things you have to take care of, but we all know our safe boundaries, and
Mhm.
if someone is making us feel unsafe in our own space, or is not giving us the permission to be who we are, like to be whether we are say if, like coming back to toxic positivity, if we are not happy on that day and we don't feel like going out or being a part of a party, and someone is like, no, if you're not at this party, you're no good to me, you're not a friend to me,
Mhm.
then we have to be comfortable with them feeling that way about us and saying, it's okay. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And I hope I can join you in better times when I feel good about joining you. Because I
Mhm.
don't see the purpose of like joining someone's party half heartedly and being like, I hate every moment of being here, but I've got to be
Mhm.
here because social standards force me to be here, because otherwise, what are the people going to think about me?
Mhm.
So we've got to get rid of the what are the people going to think about me?
Yeah,
Um,
that's a big one. That's a hard one to overcome, worrying about what other people think of you, because that drives a lot of us, you know.
you think almost.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I have a son and a daughter. So I have one of each gender, and I have to explain to the male gender that you sometimes you won't understand why we are being emotional because we can't explain it to you. So the best thing for you to do is to just walk away and leave us alone and let it run its course, because there isn't any way that I can explain it to you. There isn't any way that I can make you understand what either she's going through or what I'm going through. It's just emotional, and you'll never understand it because for women it's very different, right? There are just sometimes there's hormones just going through your body and making you feel a little crazy, and you really can't explain it. And the same conversation that I'm having with the male genders in my house, I'm having a same similar conversation with the female. Like, don't try and change it or make it any, just let it run its course. Sometimes you want to cry and you don't understand why, just cry, let it run its course, because
Yeah.
it's just something that needs to get processed through your body, through your emotions, and just let it go. And then the same conversation with the male side of the family is just walk away and leave her or leave me alone. Just walk away and know that it'll pass. It will pass. You just need to walk away. Don't try and fix it, because I think for men they want to fix. That's their kind of their programming is, how can we fix this? We're hunter gatherers. How do we fix this? And it's
Yeah.
like, you don't need to fix it. You just need to walk away, and just leave us alone, or if we need to cry, maybe you hold us. If we want somebody
Exactly.
to
That's what
hold us, that's fine. You don't have to fix it. You just hold there and you pat our head or pat our back, or
exactly
that's it.
like
Hold the
be
bucket.
there for is that's something that Like, no one owes you anything. That was a huge thing. And there has been this whole thing about I don't care and I don't give a damn and all that. It's cool to not care. No, it's not cool to not care. Please.
No. Yes. Yeah. Right.
And especially like with spouses or with siblings, these are the only people we really expect anything from, because
Mm-hmm.
the world out there, the world does not give a anything about
Yeah.
us. They're not going to stop for us or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But at least between spouses, for example, if, as you spoke, like if the woman is feeling bad about something, just, and if she can't explain, the only thing that she expects from her partner is be there and allow
Yep.
her
Hold the space.
to be however she is. Give her that
Mm-hmm.
grace. Don't judge her for it. Don't hang
Mm-hmm.
it over her head the next time she is
I know.
in a
Yeah.
similar condition.
Mm-hmm.
And don't tune her out. Like, another thing that so many people do is like things like, oh, you're always this way. Don't
Oh.
you
Oh.
dare to say that. Like, that's like you're always this way. You are always doing that. You're always crying. Oh, you better
Mm-hmm.
watch out.
Yeah. That's
Because,
not the right thing to say.
yeah, so
Just hold the space.
exactly, holding space. So people, they swing between two extremes. Either
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to judge everyone for their emotion and tell them they've got to be happy and everything, or otherwise I'm completely going to ignore their existence, like them feeling bad, or if they're
Mm-hmm.
crying, um, I'm just going to like ignore them completely. Both are
Mm-hmm.
wrong. The best place is to hold space for them, like allow them that safe space to
Mm-hmm.
be emotional with you in
Mm-hmm.
front of you. They can cry their eyes out, and you're there for them. When they're
Mm-hmm.
ready, you're just there for them, and you hug them, you give them your love, and yes, count on them. They're going to be there for you.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
we all need that group too, like our spouse or our sibling, like that inner circle whom we can be crappy with and not feel bad about, because when we are done with our crap and we are back to being human, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
there for us
Yes.
and with
Yeah.
us, and they won't hang that overhead like uh, you were crappy at such and such time,
Mm-hmm.
because they, even if they don't understand what made us crappy, they understand our reasons. Like, yes, you can feel all that, even though I don't see what was so big about it, why a particular event or something triggered you,
Mm-hmm.
but I take you as is, like it triggered you and I'm there for you.
Yes.
I give you the space to react to that trigger and to face it in your own time, and not tell you this this was no trigger, like this was not even such a big thing. If this thing happened with me, I would not give it a second thought to it. Yes, you wouldn't, but I would maybe.
Right. Yeah. Don't discount how I feel. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was talking to a couple of friends yesterday, and, she just needed a bucket. She just needed someone to hear, because she had been taking on a lot of things going on in her life. And, we just sat and listened to her. We were on Zoom, and at the end, we said, you can always call us anytime. And she said, I know you girls are busy. And we said, don't, well, if we're busy, we're busy. We'll tell you if we're busy, but you're not a burden. You're, as one of my good friends, you're not a burden to me. And if I'm out and about and I get a text from you and it says I need a bucket, I will tell you, like, give me 5 minutes, or I'll call you in an hour. But if I see those words come up on my screen from a good friend, one of my people in my circle, I need a bucket. All right, I know that this is a level 1 emergency, and I'll be there for you. And I just sit there and listen. You can tell me all your crazy thoughts, things that are irrational, and when it's all said and done, and at the end you realize, that was crazy, but I feel so much better. And you just kind of, all right, now what are we going to do? How can I support you moving forward, right? And Yeah, so you have to have that circle of friends, that community of people that you feel safe with, that you can call out to and say, I'm having a bad day. I need somebody. And that they'll come and they'll be there and they just kind of hold the space for you. Okay, I'll pull your hair back. Go ahead. You know, say whatever you need to say.
Right, definitely. And
Now, you incorporated the mental health part on your blog. What was the response on your blog when you started adding that element to your blog?
some of my friends, like some who hadn't even commented on my food posts, commented on it, and they said, we
Mhm.
love this, like talk more about this.
Mhm.
There was another friend I spoke with about women and women's need to really concentrate, like focus on their mental health, because the society places us on this pedestal of primary caregivers and the ones who run the family and take care of the house
Mhm.
and everything, and they're always working behind the scene. So you're supposed to be a superwoman. Like every woman is supposed to be a superwoman,
Mhm.
and while other people of the workforce, they work a 5-day work week and then they get their 2 days off. Uh, Women don't get that. You're working
Mhm.
24/7, 365 days a year, and even women who are not working jobs. Um,
Mhm.
I think for them it's the worst because
Mm.
you're not working, like you're just a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, they think you're sitting home doing nothing. You're like, "Pfft, I'd like you to try my job for a little bit."
Like,
When they're little, oh man, it's a lot of work.
yeah, and just staying at home, if someone chooses to do that, it is a full-time job and you get no weekends, you get no paid leaves.
Mhm.
The only sick days you get or you allow yourselves to take are the ones when you literally cannot get off the bed. That's
Yes. Mhm.
like, as you were talking about, like if you don't give your body rest, your body will do something to get its rest.
Exactly.
So that is the only time. So that was really important. And so I used food to talk about mental health, and we have this baturas. It's an
Mhm.
Indian bread. When it goes into like when you're making it, it's all like the simple chapatis that you may have seen, or the Indian breads.
Mhm.
But when it goes into hot oil, it just puffs up.
Ooh, yum.
It's huge and it's puffed up, and then it comes back to your plate and it's all like, and you just like poke a little thing and it goes back, and it's delicious, it's flaky, it's yummy. But I
Sounds so
use that
good.
to describe a person going through different stages in their mental health. So they're normal, they're just unassuming, and then you see them all blown up, like, yeah, they're maybe at the best point of their life, and then suddenly they just shrivel up and go away. Like, what happened? And
Mhm.
how can you, being a person in their circle, not notice how this
Mhm.
person was just shining and up there and everything, and then they just withered away?
Mhm.
We got to be there, and not just for others but for ourselves also, like audit ourselves, like, am I at the best level of my potential, or am I withering away without myself realizing, like just going through the rut and getting lost,
Mhm.
becoming an automatic part of my life. Like, yeah, I'm doing nothing intentionally. I'm not really present in the moment, but I'm just going through the mechanics of life until life ends. Like, I'm just doing it.
Mhm.
It's a
On
sentence.
autopilot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on
Mhm.
autopilot. So that is how I started using food. Like, even with toxic positivity, I used it. And thankfully, there were many people who were receptive. They wanted to talk
Mhm.
more about it. And I love talking about it because um, i- if someone wants me to be a happy puppet, they're not going to get that.
I like that term, a happy puppet.
It
Mhm.
is actually a medical syndrome. Like,
Is
that is a
it?
disease.
Oh,
A
that makes a
happy
lot of
puppet
sense.
syndrome
Yeah.
is something that actually exists. And it was during the time I was writing my post on toxic positivity when I was doing my revision for my medical license exam, and I came across this, and I'm like, the happy puppet syndrome. Like, wow.
Wow, they're really something like that.
Yeah.
It's a real
So although the
term.
happy puppet syndrome is like a genetic defect and everything, but the name alone, I'm like, yeah, this is what people want. Like a happy puppet, they're always like, yeah, I'm up for it. Do you want to go out?
Yeah.
I'm up for it. Do you want to meet up? I'm up for it. Like, maybe you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a lot of meaning in it, happy puppet, you know?
Exactly.
It does have a lot of meaning. Wow. That's fantastic. I mean, I have been loving your posts. I love all the food pictures too. It makes me hungry all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a foodie too. I love food. I don't enjoy cooking. I wish I did. Um, and there's moments where I do, but it's not all the time. And I wish it was all the time. But I have to cook with for my family, so I do that part. And I'm glad that I don't hate it, but I wish it brought me as much joy as other people, to cook something. And then I'm an okay cook, but I do love to eat food. I love food a lot. I think that's why I exercise as much as I do, because I don't want to cut down on my on
Yeah.
my on my eating, because it does bring me a lot of joy.
That's
And I know that if I wasn't able to have access to that it would affect me. And so I have to find a way to balance it out. So I balance it out with exercise, eating right, but still having a little bit of fun with my food, and then also incorporating movement and exercise so I can have fun with my food and enjoy it at the same time, and not feel guilty while I'm eating, right? Because I know I'm still moving my body. So I
exactly.
appreciate all your posts, and I appreciate you being willing to come on here and talk about it, because I think it's something that people need to hear, especially in this day and age. I mean, we are kind of in a time where we're kind of forced to sit in place, shelter in place, right? And you're trying to find new ways to reinvent yourself, or to adapt to an environment that you're not used to being in. And it makes people uncomfortable, and it brings up a lot of feelings. So if you're feeling that way, it's okay. And if you have somebody in your corner telling you, no, no, you shouldn't, if people use the words like should and could and you should and you must or you have to, you want to start kind of moving away from that person, because they're feeling uncomfortable, and you want to go around to people who are holding you and holding the space and saying, I understand and I hear you. Those are the kind of people that you want in your circle, right? Who are okay with you feeling that way. Fatima, how can people find your blog on Instagram or any other social media outlets?
Okay, so currently I'm only posting on Instagram,
Hmm.
and it's a public account. It's dynamic.fatima Khan.
Hmm.
So yes, and I have my poetry account too. It's dynamic.enigma, and if people like poetry, they can go on check it out. It's just in its very it's a bud. It has still not bloomed. It's a
Okay.
teeny tiny bud. It has like 9 or 12 posts on it. So it's just
Okay.
something I want to start sharing again with my with people, because writing brings me joy, eating and cooking brings me joy, and my greatest joy, that's medicine, is definitely something I can't wait to actually be able to practice, because once I'm done with the US medical license exam, I can be at that one place. I know hospitals don't give anyone joy in that sense, but if I can help people, that's going to
Hmm.
be a really joyful place for me. That's my passion. Like, ever since I've ever known that we could do anything in life, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and hospitals or medical buildings, facilities need more people like you who understand another side of it, that these things go together, that there's a spiritual and a mental side that goes with the physical. And sometimes doctors, they just kind of focus on the book and they don't realize, and that's not a fault of their own. That's just, you know, how they're wired and they're programmed. But it'll be a nice breath of fresh air to have someone like you come in and add that element to their healing. Yeah.
And I just have to mention here, like at this point, uh, there are two doctors in US, like whom I had to come in touch with for different at different points of my stay here, and Dr. Ellen Blando and Dr. Amelia Eastman. These
Okay.
two ladies have been gems. Like these are the kinds of doctor that I aspire to be, because
Okay.
um, they're amazing. Like they're the kind of doctor I hope I can become in the future.
All
Uh,
right, that's a good referral. We'll put all of that in the description below. We'll put how people can find your blog, your poetry, and these two doctors, because everybody's always looking for two doctors. So I'm gonna actually look that up too. I do like my doctor because she's very, she's got a little bit of that element to her too, where she has a little bit of a not spiritual, but a non-conventional side to her, which I like. You know, she's not the doctor prior to her. She kept trying to prescribe medication to me, and I don't think she liked me because I would go in there and say, "I'm not taking anything. I don't want to take anything. I want to fix whatever the problem is, you know." She, how about, or she would fish. So how are you feeling? And if I said, oh, you know, something, how are your periods? Do you get depressed? I have a medication for that. I'm like, I don't want medication.
oh
Back
God.
off, lady. I had to switch the doctor because that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not how I want
Yeah,
to
I've been
feel
a
when I go
clinic
to a
who
doctor.
complimented me on me speaking good English.
Oh,
And
okay.
you speak good English. I'm like, I literally wrote, I'm a medical student. Like, I have filled those forms up. Like, no, I don't want you to compliment my good English. No, like,
Yeah.
why is that something you feel you should compliment me on? Like, I'm not gonna. Do you think I can give that compliment back to you? Like, can I turn back and say, "Oh, you speak good English too"? Like, how would you feel about that?
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. So
Yes.
I've seen both sides of it, and I can't wait to be a doctor practicing there and be the doctor that I did not have in certain instances, but be like these two gem ladies who I've came across, and they're doing a great job. They have zero idea I'm talking about them right now. Like I'm not currently their patient, but
Yes.
they're amazing people, and they do well. Yeah.
And when do you take your test, your exam?
As soon as possible. So yeah, that's something. I need all the prayers and best wishes in the world for that, and hopefully soon enough I can say Dr. Fatima Khan at so and so place. Like, yay, I'm there. You can
Okay.
come and meet me now.
Yes. Okay. Well, you heard her. So we have to send all our good energy to Fatima to get her exam, to take her exam, pass her exam, and reach her goal of being a fantastic, bright, amazing doctor that she aspires to be. Fatima, thank you so much for being on here. This is really great. I think we could have talked for another hour for sure. And we'll maybe have to do a second segment another time, you know, but we'll put all her books, her poetry, her blog, all in the description below. And you can follow her too and be inspired by food and writing and mental health. Thank you so much, Fatima, for being on Gabbing with Gabby. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye. And cut.